Shalom, everybody. We're in Parashat Miqqeitz, Genesis 41. Welcome, welcome. I hope you are ready to do some reading today. Taina, it's good to see you.
Thank
And
you.
let's see. Shalom, Eileen. And
Shalom, Jared.
Jesse and Cheryl, troopers as usual.
Hello.
And why is AI, what is AI doing here? There we go. Okay. And this is the story. Well, actually, does anybody know where are we in the Torah portion? Parashat Miqqeitz. What is Miqqeitz? From the end of something. All right, well, let's jump right into it. If anyone wants to annotate or raise hand, here's how you do it. Let's jump right in. Who would like to read first?
Jesse does.
All right. I saw Eileen's hand. Go ahead, Eileen.
Sure. I'll read it. Vayehi Miqqeitz.
Miqqeitz,
Miqqeitz. Shimneitem.
Shenatayim.
Shnatayim.
Yeah.
Yimim.
Yamim.
Yamim.
Yep.
Ubefaro.
Ufaro.
O. Homal.
Holem.
Holem.
Why catch the time? Giving.
Vahine.
Vehine.
Vahine.
And
Meod.
Nope. I think you swapped the mem and ein. What is it?
Mod.
Adn.
Omed.
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 Okay. Omed. Al. Hayior.
Very good. Hayor. All right. So let's see. At the end of Shnatayim, 2 years, 2 full years, Paro Cholem, Pharaoh dreamed, Vehine Omed al Hayor, and he was standing at the Nile River. All right, let me read through it one time from beginning to end. Vayehi Miqqeitz Shnatayim Yamim, Ufaro Cholem, Vehine Omed al Hayor. Shnatayim. What kind of ending does the word Shnatayim have?
Dual.
Dual. So 2 shana or 2 shanat, 2 years. Yamim. What does the yamim, what is that supposed to tell us? Is it like 2 years of days? You can see what the translator did. 2 full years. All right, whatever. At the end of 2 years of days, maybe, Pharaoh dreamed. What did Pharaoh dream? Spoiler alert. What did he dream?
The cows coming
The
out of
Cows.
cows.
And besides the cows,
Grain.
One being skinny and the other being fat.
the ears of grain as well. 7 of them. All right.
Okay.
Let's see. Where are we? Oh, why isn't it? There we go. All right. Anyone besides Jesse want to read?
I'll read it to her.
Jesse, go ahead and read, and then everyone else can wait in line. Come on.
Vehine min haor olot sheva parot yafot mar'e uvriot basar vatir'ena ba'ahu.
Ba'achu. Good. Do me a favor, read that again.
Parot.
Yeah, very good. The first time you said parot, as though there were an
Oh.
aleph there. That's all.
Mhm.
Parot. And what's the singular form of parot?
Para.
Para, a female cow. Vehine min hayor, olot sheva parot, yefot mar'e, uvriot basar. All right, yafot and briot. What do those have in common?
They're
Anybody?
both feminine,
The oat.
plural.
Oh.
The oat.
Okay,
Adjective.
so they both have an oat. They're both adjectives. Anything else?
Feminine. No.
Feminine.
Start with the schwa.
Turtles.
Plural. Yeah.
And
Good.
Yichtels.
They have reduced vowels.
I do. So what's the I just taught a class on construct state. What's the absolute state of yafot?
Yafot.
Yafe.
The dictionary
Yafe.
definition of yafot would be
Yafe.
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 Yeah.
Exactly, yafe. So the point is that this went down to there whenever it added the suffix. Okay. What's the absolute form of this plural word briot?
Bri.
Bari. What's the root of bari?
Is
Bara.
that it? Is
Bara.
that it? The whole thing?
Okay.
Bara. And
Bara.
what is bara?
Create.
Create. Yeah. It's related to the word
Yes.
creation. So what I think of when I think of bari being like healthy or maybe even well nourished, the point is it's healthy, is that when God created everything was perfect. So when I think of bari, it's like you just came off of the factory line of God's creation. You're perfect, right? You're healthy. I don't know. Maybe that's a silly way of thinking of it, but
Helps.
what is this right here? Yefot mar'e or briot basar.
Briot basar.
Yefot mar'e and briot basar, they're
Construct.
both construct chain.
Construct
So
chain.
even though these are adjectives, they're still in construct. Beautiful of appearance, healthy of flesh. Good.
Reminder,
Yes.
the difference between infinitive construct and construct chain.
Infinitive construct versus construct chain. They're both used for constructing something bigger. So they have the construct in common. The infinitive construct is an infinitive, which is a verbal noun. And in English, it would be to do something. That's the easiest, or that's the most straightforward way to translate it. Sometimes it doesn't work out well, so we have to use an ing translation. That's the infinitive construct. So asot would be an infinitive. No, let me think of a better one. Shmor. Shmor is an infinitive construct. We can add stuff to it because it's in the construct state, like a preposition. Lishmor. Or we could add a suffix to the end. Well, it changes the vowels around a little bit. Instead of shmoro, this drops down, turns that into an O sound based on this, and we get shomros. But they're still infinitive constructs. Construct chain, on the other hand, is building a chain of words that have an of relationship. For example, Melech Yisrael is Melech, king of Israel. Therein lies the difference. Any follow-up questions, Tim?
No, that's good. Thank you.
Okay, good. And what is the root of this big long word?
Resh.
Ray.
Ein Yod.
Resh Ein Yod.
Yes. Resh Ayin He is the same, yes.
Yeah.
Re'ah.
Motto.
Re'ah.
Good.
Or not.
Right. So the root.
Oh no, that's bad. From evil, yes. Not so good, I think. Yes.
No, that's a different one. Okay, so ra'ah is
Okay.
to graze or feed or pasture, whereas
Okay.
ra'ah is evil or bad. They're from
Oh,
two different roots.
okay.
But usually we don't get to see both ayins, so all we see is resh ayin. And sometimes here we don't get to see the yod, all we see is resh ayin.
Yes.
So yes, they look similar sometimes, but they are from totally different roots.
Isn't
And
it the verb to pasture? To pasture? Like,
to graze, yeah, it's usually somebody is making them graze somewhere to pasture. Yes. So they were pasturing ba'achu.
so a ro'i would be a pasture or a grazer guy who was grazing the sheep.
Right.
Right.
Oh, A is a shepherd, the one who takes them grazing. You said
Yes.
ro'i. Actually, ro'i is spelled with a reduced. Ro'i is the one who. Oh, I see what you're doing. My shepherd. Okay.
My children.
Ro'i. I was thinking of what Hagar said. She said, Adonai ro'i.
Ra'i, like,
Ro-
yeah, saw me.
Ro'i with a reduced kamat. So the one seeing me, the Lord who sees me.
Ah,
That's with Aleph.
Bingo. This one's with Aleph to see, and this one's with Ayin to graze or pasture.
Do you mind if I try to parse
Hey.
Tirena?
Please.
So
Please.
va and tov they ra'ah root to feed they fed and they fed na 3fs katan.
Very good. So the tav at the front and the na at the end are either 2 or 3 FP.
mhm.
Second person doesn't make sense. So we're going to rule it out. They, feminine, did the action of this right here. What binyan is vatir enna? Vayiktal is the form. What's the binyan?
Oh.
Katan.
It's the binyan is kal. The binyan is kal. Remember, katal is a form. Katal is a form. Vayiktol is a form. Those are all your forms. Infinitive is a form, whereas kal is a binyan. Yep. And because of the chirik and the shva there, we can be certain that it is a kal. Simple action, pasturing.
Oh. Terena.
Now, this appears to be an Egyptian loan word. This is probably not related to the word brother.
In the mash.
Ba'achu, in the achu.
Ach. Oh.
Achu.
Olot, sheva, olot. What kind of word is olot?
To went up, come up. Is from Allah, is from it's a construct, I think. It's ayin lamete normally. And we have a
Ayin lamed yod.
Participle.
It's a participle.
Oh.
Yeah. From
A participle, yes.
exactly, yeah. So they were coming up. Who were? Sheva parot. 7 cows were.
Yes. Right.
All right. Next verse. If there aren't any questions, if there are, then stop me. Who would like to read? Thomas, you have your hand up?
Yes. Okay, yes. Okay. והנה שבע פרעות אחרות עולות אחריהן מן היאור רעות מראה ודקות בשר, ותעמודנה אצל הפרות על שפת היאור.
Sfat hayaor.
Sefat. Yeah, Safat is, yes, yeah. Safat. Okay, Safat Hayor.
What does safat literally mean?
Edge,
Lip.
lip or language.
Right. Literally, it's a lip. Figuratively, it can be
Yes.
a language or it can be the edge of something, the edge of a
Yes,
opening.
yes,
And
it's a construct, yes.
very good. Sfat hayaor is a construct. Do you see any others?
רעות מראה,
רעות מראה.
Ot basar.
Dakot basar. Now we can't tell based on what's written here, but there's a possibility. Well, no, I don't think so. I don't think so.
that's not
Yeah.
reduced.
I have reason to believe that this is not a construct chain. All right. Vehine sheva parot acherot, 7 other cows, olot acharehen, came after them, min hayaor, raot mar'eh, vedakot basar, vata'amodna etzel haparot al sfat hayaor. So now we have 14 cows. 7 good looking, 7 not so much. Who would like to read next? Cheryl, go ahead.
Okay. ותאכלנה הפרות רעות המראה ודקות הבשר את 7 הפרות יפות המראה והבריאות ויקץ פרעה.
Very good. ותאכלנה הפרות רעות המראה ודקות הבשר את 7 הפרות יפות המראה והבריאות. ויקץ פרעה. The 7 ugly ones and thin of flesh ate the 7 cows that were beautiful of form and healthy, and Pharaoh awoke. What's the root of vayikatz?
Could be Yod Kuf Tzadi.
Bingo. It's an easy one. It's still a pay yod verb, first root letter yod, and that can cause problems. But here it's not a problem. It appears rather regular, except for the fact that there's no O vowel here. Why not?
Stative? No.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
look, I would have to say yes, just because it has the right form. It has that E-ah in the Yiktol instead of E-o. It appears to be classified, at least in Hebrew, as a
Yes.
state of being verb.
Mhm.
Of course, in English, we don't think of it being stative. You know, I was this and now I'm that. I moved my eyelids, right? But yeah, it certainly has the form.
It is a nifal?
Fine. Yeah.
No, it can't be nifal because there's no dagesh in the yod of the root.
Yes.
Oh.
Ay, 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 ay.
Instead, it appears more. It appears to be a kal vayiktol state of being pattern, much like yikrav. All right, who wants to read next?
I do.
All right, go right ahead. Oh, wait, I have to go to the next slide. There, now you can.
Vayishan, Vayachalom, Vayachalom, Shena,
Shay. Mhm.
Enit, Vehine, Shava, Shibolim, Shibolim,
Very good. Shibolim.
Shibolim, Aliot, no, Olot, Bekana,
Bekane.
no, yeah, Bekana, Kane, Eched,
Eh? There it is. Echad.
Bariot, Vitovot, Vitovot.
So here we have a repeat, but now instead of parot, we have
Shibol.
Olim.
shibolim.
Sibolim.
Vayishan, vayachalom shenit, והנה שבע שיבולים עולות בקנה אחד בריאות וטובות. שיבולים, masculine or feminine?
I think feminine.
Why?
Olot.
Shibolet.
Olot. Yes, that is can. No, I think it's feminine.
Yeah,
It's
of course.
irregular.
But you have to prove it. Why? How can you prove that it's feminine?
I go in my
Olot.
handy and have a noun with an adjective.
Or
It's
you can
very
look at this
good.
verse because there are adjectives here. There's the
Yes,
adjective
okay, that's
olot.
adjective. It's feminine, yeah.
There's briot. There's
Yeah.
tovot. In fact, there's even sheva instead of shiva.
Shiva, huh?
So
It's all feminine, yes.
all of these are referring back to the shibolim.
Yeah.
I have
Very
a
good.
question then.
Yes.
Shibolet, is that the same word where they made them say it when they crossed the Jordan? Okay.
Right.
So, okay.
It's shibolet instead of shibolim, but yes,
Okay.
shibolet is probably a singular, the singular form, and shibolim is probably the plural.
Okay. Because Shibolet sounds feminine just because the way it ends. Is
Of course,
that
it has a feminine tav, absolutely. And remember, when it comes to determining the gender of a noun, if you can't look at an adjective on your handy, on your telephone, then always go to the singular form. You have a much better success rate looking at the singulars than the plurals. Meaning there are a lot more irregular plurals than there are irregular singulars.
okay?
Well done. What's going on?
Question?
Yes, question. Is it
So-
Dana? Yes.
Why we, I guess, how to analyze what or to reason why this is surrounding it before or after around it that is actually feminine.
Wait, okay. I don't think I understand your question. You're asking how? No, I don't understand. Reword it. Evidently, I'm too dense to understand. Could you reword your question for me? Is everyone frozen? Tana,
No.
are you frozen?
No.
Oh no, I think Tana's
I
frozen.
think Tana's frozen.
No, was Tana's question? Maybe somebody understood better than I. Why it is that we have all of these surrounding words to help us know the gender? Is that what it sounded like to you? Anyone?
It froze. I couldn't hear.
Ah, bummer.
Understand what she said.
Tana, you might
I
have
think
to.
that's what she meant.
Oh, here she is. Tana, are you there?
Are you there, team?
All right. Well,
Hello.
oh, I hear you. The internet's not very good.
Your picture is gone too, Tana.
Well, that might be an improvement. If the reception is low, then turning the picture off could help. All right, Tana, when you're back, I want to hear your question. Does anyone else have something to say about this verse? I have one last thing. My last comment for this verse would be parse it. Oh, Tana, you're back. Please
Sorry.
reword your question. Are you asking about how you're pointing out that there are words both before and after, all referring to shibolim, but what's your question?
How
How do we know they're
how
related?
do we know? I mean, I know that ot is feminine, but how do I know that ears of grain is also feminine, even if I don't know?
Well, we have okay. So I would say there are three reasons we know. The first has to do with the numbers. Numbers are so frustrating in Hebrew, but they, unless it's the number one, they come before the noun and they have gender. Sheva is the feminine form, and Shiva with a kamatz hey at the end, ironically, is the masculine form. So knowing this is feminine, I'm already good. I don't need more. Nevertheless, we have more. Next up is the participle. Well, a participle requires a subject. Who's the subject of olot? Who's doing the going up? I don't think anything else on here could fit except shibolim. So that's reason number two. It's a matter of syntax so far, right? If there's a number, we expect the noun to follow. If there's a participle, the subject should be close by. Then we get over here, briot. This is definitely feminine plural. That's not, and that's not. So what does it have to be referring to?
Same.
It can be none other than this. So these two together would be reason three.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, could someone please parse out vayishan?
I'll take a shot at it.
Okay,
It's a Vigtol
it's a vayikol.
on a Yashan sleep to sleep.
That's right. Yod-shin-nun.
But the question I have is, what is the Vigtol make that automatically masculine?
No, the yod does. The yod makes it masculine. If it were feminine, it would be vatishan.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Okay, so it's 3 ms because of the yod. So the only thing lacking, I believe, is the binyan. Which of the 7 binyanim does this verb belong to?
God.
Kal.
Al.
Kal. It's the same as the previous one, vaikatz. We get ea instead of eo. Well, hang on. There's one little difference. Earlier it was vayi patach, vayikatz. But now it's vayikatz, kamatz. Why? Why all of a sudden is it a long instead of a short
Is it pausal?
Absolutely. That's it. It's pausal.
Okay.
It still means the same thing. And he slept, and then he slept. Vayachalom, and then he dreamed shenit a second time.
So that's like 3 yods in a row.
Technically, yes, because you have a double yod here. The first yod belongs to the vayiktol. The second yod is your yiktol prefix 3ms, and your third yod is the first root letter.
Root, yeah.
And my root is Yashen.
Exactly. It's actually Yashen. Did you say that? Yeah, I think you said Yashen.
Yeah.
And some people in Israel can't get this right. They say Yoshin. Well, why would they say that? Because it sounds like almost all the other verbs. Shomer, holech, yoled, yoshev, yoshen. No, it's
Or is it
yashen
participle?
because it's pausal. It is a participle, but it's pausal. All your pausal forms, Jared, I can't believe you said that.
Yeah.
Stative, Jared. It's stative. Your stative verbs have this form here in the participle instead of that one.
Ach so.
So this form does not exist unless one is making a mistake, like I just did. So Yashen, Gadel,
Ayef.
Tzameh, Ayef, Haser. Can anyone think of some other ones? I'm thinking of weirder ones than that. Okay, good. State of being. I guess not much happens when one is asleep. So state of being, that kind of makes sense.
A question.
Question.
So is there such a word as yashan? No.
Yashan like this would be an adjective,
Oh.
much like chacham.
Mm.
So it's a different pattern.
Okay.
Here yashan means old. Yashan, like something is antiquated or
Obsolete.
yeah, exactly. More like obsolete. Not necessarily talking about a person, but something
Something.
would be
Okay.
yashan.
Gotcha.
If a person, what if a person is old? Then what do we use?
Zaken. No?
Ken Yashan is the same, yes.
Well, there's zaken
Mhm.
and there's zakan.
Oh, yeah.
Ish zakan, ish zaken. Which one is it?
Zaken.
Is it? Yeah. Zaken.
Also,
Yeah,
State of
Zaken.
being. Isn't this a zakan? Isn't it? Isn't a beard a zakan?
yes.
Beard.
Okay.
Yeah.
So zaken appears to be another state of being verb.
Okay. Yes.
That's right. All right, next verse, little teeny tiny one. Step right up. Don't be shy.
All right.
All right, go ahead, Taina.
Vehine. Shava. Yes.
Where's the accent?
Sheva.
That's right. Sheva.
No. Vehine Sheva. Shebolim.
Mhm.
Mm, where am I? Ushdufot.
Dakot ushdufot.
Zomehot. Oh no, I'm gonna get out
Lim.
my internet again. Is that right? Zumihot.
So, well, I would just say it's a
Sorry.
TS instead of a Z. So, machot,
Zomehot. Ah,
acharehen. Good. Vehine, sheva shibolim, dakot ushdufot kadim. So, machot acharehen. Good. So we know hine, behold. Sheva, 7, feminine. Shibolim, we now know that's feminine. Dakot, ushdufot, we see the ot on the end. We know those are feminine, referring back to shibolim. Got it. What is this? Shdufot kadim. Is it a construct chain?
Mm.
How isn't it the same as yafot mar'eh?
Tufot kadim.
We have an adjective, or I'll get to that in a second. It's essentially an adjective because it's a passive participle, and we have a noun. So it's been blasted of or by the east wind. It is.
Fulta kadim, shtufot kadim.
So now the question is shdufot. What form is it?
Passive?
Passive
Passive?
participle.
Yeah, passive
Yeah,
participle.
passive.
Like shamur would be something that is guarded.
Yeah.
How would it be in the plural? In the feminine plural? shmurot. So we've got a long vowel going to shva because it's too far away from the stress and it's in an open syllable. Well, that's what happened here too. So the masculine singular form should be shaduf.
Shaduf.
Shaduf. And that au is your passive participle form. Shamur, shaduf, sagur, patuach. That's a kal passive participle.
Yeah.
What is passive? What does the word passive mean?
Action is done to it.
Mm-hmm. Right. And what does participle mean?
It's an
ing.
action.
At the end of the word.
Continuous.
Okay, good. I hear a lot of great answers. I heard ing, I heard continuous. And did anyone say anything, something like verbal adjective?
Adjective.
It's an adjective. Very good. All of these are true. So how do you make something both passive and a participle? Well, let's use this example right here because we all know the root shamar to guard. Shamur, if it's passive, would be not guard, but guarded.
Guarded.
And if it's continuous or ing or an adjective, then it would be being guarded. So therefore, we'll translate this as being blasted of or by the kadim, that east wind. Excellent. Very good. Tzmochot achreihem. Does anyone know what a tzemach is? Tzemach?
The plant
Yeah, exactly. What's the verb
Yes.
tzemach?
is
Tzemach.
spring up. Spring.
Yeah, to spring up, to grow like a plant.
Grow.
Who is a tzimchoni?
Don't eat meat.
Tzimchoni is someone who eats plants.
Vegetarian.
Very
A
good.
vegetarian.
All right. Well, let's go one step further. Who is a make sure I'm pronouncing
You know the vegan, yes?
tivonit. Who is a tivonit?
Vegan person.
Exactly. Vegan.
Vegan,
Someone
vegan
who
person.
this comes from the root teva. If I didn't misspell anything, I think that's it. Teva.
Yes.
Yeah, tivoni. Very good. All right. Next verse. Who wants to read now?
Oh.
Okay, Jesse.
Vativ lana.
Where's the stress?
No, I don't know.
We'll look for the stress marker. It's not this. That's always at the end of the
La.
word. So it must be here.
So vativ lana.
Vativlana. And incidentally, all of your yiktol forms that are 2 or 3 FP have the stress right here. So every time you see that na, it's probably going to be penultimate. Vativlana.
Hasibolim hadakot et sheva hasibolim habariot vehamleot veyikatz paro vehine halom.
Is this a state of being verb? Yeah. Male.
Yes.
To be full. Maleot. They that are full. They being full.
They are being full.
Well, they kind of, yeah, because it's state of being, English has to include the verb to be. They are full or they are being full. I know that sounds sick. Vativlana hashibolim hadakot et sheva hashibolim habriot vehamleot vaikatz paro vehine chalom. All right, so God has given him 2 dreams. What happens next? Thomas?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. ויהי בבוקר ותפעם רוחו וישלח ויקרא את כל חרטומי מצרים ואת כל חכמיה ויספר פרעה להם את חלומו ואין פוטר אותם לפרעה.
לפרעה.
אותם לפרעה, yes, sorry.
Very good. ויהי בבוקר, ותפעם רוחו, וישלח, ויקרא את כל חרטומי מצרים, ואת כל חכמיה, ויספר פרעה להם את חלומו, ואין פוטר אותם לפרעה. Bummer. Let me go forward. Oh, what's the root of the word chaltume?
Magicians.
It's a loaded question. It's an irrelevant question.
Is it from Khartoum, the place?
Where
the
is
city?
Khartoum?
Egypt, right?
No kidding, huh? All right. I haven't been to Egypt, so I don't know where Khartoum, Egypt is, but I don't know. It must be related. I was under the impression that Khartoum is a loan word from Egyptian. So don't try to make it fit into a Semitic pattern box if it's a loan word. Now, is the town or city of Khartoum related to this word? I'd imagine so. They're both in Egypt, but I don't know.
It's like Aramaic, I think. The same, yeah.
Well, at least Aramaic is a closer Semitic language, but Aramaic gets so many loan words from Akkadian and which gets it from Sumeria, from Persian, primarily those two. So there are a lot of loan words that you just simply can't fit one for one into a Semitic pattern. There are four root letters here, right? Chet, resh, tet, mem. That's kind of a clue that it's a loan word. Chaltumei Mitzrayim, the magicians of Egypt, ve'et kol chachameha, all of her wise ones. Vaisaper paro. What binyan is vaisaper?
PL.
PL. And you know that how?
The
The Shiva
Shva,
under the Yod
the Yud,
and the Dagesh, doubling Dagesh.
the doubling the dagesh inside the pay.
And one more clue.
Sere.
No, tzere, you cannot rely on the tzere.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
It's the patach. Right.
The patah.
Okay.
Huh? That's it. For example, you could have a shva and a strong dagesh, but if this patach were, I don't know, a kibbutz, then it would be a pu'al. So it is kind of important. Yeah, this tzere will sometimes switch to a patach. It'll sometimes switch to a shva. Even sometimes it'll switch to a hirik. You cannot trust the tzere. I'm so sorry. Vayisaper paro lahem, Pharaoh told them, et halomo. Direct object marker. Yeah, this is not a good translation. That them belongs over here. To them, et halomo, his dream. And it's not plural. Ve'en poter otam. What form of the word is poter?
Participle.
Yatar from Yoter is
It's not from yoter. It's
no.
from patar.
Oh, so sorry. Yeah. Pata. Yes, there's a P before. Yes. Oh.
So
Sorry.
the OA, like Cheryl said, this is a participle.
Yes.
And what is otam?
Definite object marker was
Wait, I thought this
read.
is supposed to go with verbs,
Normally, yes.
but participles are adjectives.
Normally,
Verbal
there.
adjectives. They're
Maybe.
verbal adjectives, but it's okay. You can describe someone
Verbal.
as doing an action to something else.
Hmm?
Like you could say, look, Jim is, there's your verb, hitting, adjective, the ball, object.
Mhm.
The same thing. Le pharaoh, for the benefit, or to, towards Pharaoh. All right, next reader. Tell you what, I want to read one. Let me read. Vaidaber sar hamashkim et paro lemo et chatatai ani mazkir hayom. We have two different words, et. They look identical? Of course they do. Aleph, segol, tav, hyphen, makif, or makaf.
Yeah.
But one of these is a direct object marker and one of them is not. How do I know whether it's a direct object marker? And if it's not, what is it? So what is it and how do I know?
The direct object is before the subject and verb.
I don't know if I can agree with you because Hebrew doesn't care as much about word order. You
I think
could
you
put
have
it,
to go
yeah.
by context. If you're translating, and the butler, the chief butler spoke.
Here, let's run a thought experiment. Suppose this is a definite direct object marker. Here's your verb.
Mhm.
What can receive the action of being spoken?
A word,
A
something
word,
spoken.
a story, something spoken. So can Pharaoh be spoken?
No.
Yeah, doesn't fit.
No.
What about this verb over here? Mazkir, or to cause, to remember, or mention. What can be remembered or mentioned? All kinds of
day.
things. In fact, because this is a he feel verb, I very much expect there to be an object somewhere. So let's try fitting in the two possibilities. If this is not a direct object marker and instead it is et with, does it make more sense? He spoke with Pharaoh. Yeah. How about let's try putting a with right here. He recalled or remembered with his faults.
No.
Doesn't et introduce a proper noun also? So that et pharaoh would be introducing the noun. Pharaoh, and the direct object marker would be the fault with fault, my faults.
Whether it's a direct object marker et or whether it's the word with et, both of them are treated in Hebrew like prepositions. So that a preposition by definition needs to be pointing to a noun. There will always be a noun after a preposition, or at least something behaving like a noun. So Pharaoh is a definite proper name noun, sure, but so is Hata'ai because there's a suffix on the end.
Yeah, a pronoun.
Remember if it's a proper noun or whether there's a suffix, or if you have a hey, all of those are definite. So definite isn't the issue here. It has more to do with, I guess, whether it makes sense. And you can't remember with false, so it must be direct object marker. Remembering it, my fault. And here you can't speak Pharaoh, so it has to be with.
I see.
Nothing's worse when you're trying to translate something and you keep getting stuck on an et as a direct object mark, and you're like, oh, it's with. That makes more sense. Always look to your verb. Suppose you have a verb that doesn't take a direct object. Like a nifal, right? Nishmar is passive or reflexive. Nishmar. Well, if it's passive or reflexive, that means the object is built into the verb. You can't take an object. So if I see an et after nishmar, I know automatically to translate it as with. Okay. He is guarded with someone else.
All right. I got me with this one.
All right. Who would like to read the next one?
I'll go.
Okay, go ahead, Cheryl.
פרעה קצף על עבדיו, ויתן אותי במשמר בית שר הטבחים, אותי ואת שר האופים.
Excellent reading. פרעה קצף על עבדיו, ויתן אותי במשמר בית שר הטבחים, אותי ואת שר האופים. קצף עבדיו. Okay, Pharaoh was angry concerning avadav. Well, that doesn't sound as good in English, so that's why the translator chose with, but al can mean about or concerning, in addition to being on top of. Vaiten oti, and he did put me. Does this start a construct chain? Where does it end?
After tabachim.
Okay, can you prove to me that these are that this, and this are in construct state?
Just to translate it by the custody or the keeping of the house of the captain of the guard.
Okay, let me ask the question differently. If these are in construct state, what's the absolute form?
It's yeah, I don't think that's right. I don't think it's all. Oh.
Okay, so the first word mishmar had a kamatz here. It's the same as migdal. Or yeah, exactly. Miktal form has a kamatz right here. The fact that it has patach tells you that it reduced. Why? Because it's in construct form.
Okay.
Right? What's the absolute form of bait?
Right.
Bayit. Either like this or like this in pausal. We'll just leave it like this. Bayit. And this triphthong right here simplified down to a tzereyod in construct. Okay, excellent. And what's the absolute form of this word?
Probably a kamatz.
Probably, yeah. Sar
A tabachim is absolute.
has to be absolute because it's the last one.
And it's definite. So
It is definite. Very good. Does anybody know, speaking of miktal pattern, does anybody know what a mitbach is?
Kitchen.
Kitchen.
Yeah.
So what's the root tabach?
Cook. Cook.
It's not to cook. It's not to cook.
Tabach is a cook, a chef.
Right. Very good. Well, kind of. A tabach in modern Hebrew is a chef or a cook. But what's the biblical definition of the root? That's what I'm getting at.
Something about like chopping
Yeah.
or slaughtering.
Butchering.
Butchering.
Exactly. So tabach is to butcher. The mitbach is the place of butchering, because evidently it used to be that you bring your game or whatever into the kitchen, chop it up, and a tabach.
Say tavuach is the lamb that was say tavuach.
Say tavuach. And what form of the word is tavuach? Past participle. Very good. Se tavuach, the butchered lamb. What's the okay? What root means slaughtered rather than butchered? I wonder if that's what you're mixing it up with.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the altar?
Mizbeach.
So what's the root?
Zavach. That's sacrifice.
Zavach, yes.
What? Zavach is to slaughter.
Yes,
Ritually,
to slaughter.
usually ritually slaughter, but it's to slaughter. So mizbach comes from the root zavach, or zevach would be the noun. And so I wonder if this is se zavuach instead of se tavuach. Do you know which one it is? I've never heard of the expression before.
It's se tavuach is
Okay.
the lamb that was slain. That's how
Okay.
that's translated into Hebrew anyway, into modern Hebrew.
What I'm asking is where did you hear that? Who coined that, or where does it, in what context?
Oh, I might have heard it in a song, or I might have read it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm not trying to grill you. I'm just
No,
wondering.
that's
I'm
okay.
interested. And whoever wrote that song, I think they much should have probably used zavuach rather than tabuach.
Zabuach.
Because remember, the lamb is not supposed to have a single broken bone. So tabuach is inaccurate. But zavuach would be accurate.
Wow.
Oti tabuach. Oh, right. Oti ve'et sar ha'ofim, the chief of the baking ones, right? This is a participle as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ha'ofim. So sar, we got a reduction from kamatz to patach. So the chief of those who are baking. Sweet. All right. Any questions? Good. Next verse. Weiter.
I'll read.
Go ahead, Tuesday, please.
Bana halma halom belayla echad ani vehu ish kefitron halomo halomo halamno.
Very good reading. Excellent. Van halma halom balayla echad. Excuse me. Balayla echad. Sorry, I should have put those two together. Ani vahu. Ish kefitron halomo halamnu. Anything weird about this verse to you all?
Van.
Which one?
Vanachalom. I'm just looking at that word is all. It's copycatting the next the first vowel is copycatting the second vowel.
Why?
Because the accent, the stress is on the last syllable, so things are going to reduce the further right you go.
Is it because of the guttural?
Okay, so the guttural is at fault here. Can we pick a different root that doesn't have a guttural and see what would happen? So what I mean to say is there any way we can parse this and then try sticking a different root in to see what we should expect? So let's parse it first. Start with the easy stuff.
Vayiktol.
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 But wait a minute. Since when does Vayiktol have a hey at the end? Doesn't matter. There's a Vayiktol here.
Cohortative.
Okay, excellent. I'm glad you said that. Were it not for the Vayiktol, it would definitely be cohortative, which means let us dream. But he's telling a story. So what I wonder if what's going on here is that there are other forms of verbs where you put a hey at the end and it makes it a little bit softer. Like you can add it on to an imperative and it makes the paragogic hey kind of softens the command a little bit, maybe. What's the other one? Na, for example, no, I don't know if that's the same. I wonder if sorry?
With the imperative, with the hey, wouldn't it be the action coming back towards you?
Or for your benefit, yeah. Towards you or for your benefit, yeah. So I'm trying to, maybe I'm just stumbling then. What form is it that has a hey at the end besides the cohortative that softens it up? See, what I'm looking at here is a servant speaking to Pharaoh. And so he's going to speak in a way that's more respectful. And I'm wondering if the cupbearer is combining two things. He's combining a Vayiktol narrative past with this, hey on the end that maybe softens up the speech a little bit to sound more respectful. I don't know. This is usually this kind of stuff exists later on in like Dead Sea Scrolls. If anyone's taken like, an upper level course in Hebrew, you start seeing this showing up in Dead Sea Scrolls, especially where it's both a Vayiktol and a paragogic hey at the end. But this is early. This is before Moses. What gives? Okay, so that's very strange, but my initial question was about the vowels. So Vayiktol, strange looking paragogic hey at the end. So I'll put plus paragogic hey. What binyan? What person, gender, number?
Nifal.
One common plural.
Person, gender, number, that should be easy because he says this.
It's 3C.
One common plural.
1CP.
What's the person, gender, number of ani vahu?
One singular.
One CP.
Common singular.
No, one CP.
1CF.
All right, I'm not hearing any answers, so apparently that was too difficult of a question. What
It's
part of the
B.
question
Three.
Can you hear
is
me?
difficult?
Can you hear us?
1CP.
Can you all hear me?
We
Yes.
can hear you.
Oh, I'm
Can't
so
hear us.
sorry. I can't hear you. Evidently, when I put my, oh geez, when I've got a little volume control, on my wired headphones, and apparently when I brought my hand down, it swiped it down. And I thought, certainly this isn't a stumping question. Why is everyone so silent? Well, because you swiped the volume control, dummy. All right. So while I was not able to hear, what was your answer? Who's the person, gender, number?
Which one?
One
CP.
Yeah,
One
because it's both who and ani, it must be 1 CP, which tells us noon is 1 CP. But we knew that already, right? If it's a Vayiktol, then that means we need a Vayiktol prefix. 1 CP.
Isn't ani vihu one CS? Ani.
No, ani is 1 CS.
Mhm.
And if I am speaking and someone else is with me, then that's 1 CP. So what did we do? We dreamed, both he and I. So it's actually an interesting question when you start combining certain person gender numbers. So 1 CS plus 3ms. Well, actually, plus anything.
Yes, we.
Anything, really. So I'll just put an X right there. Could be anything is going to be 1 CP. What about 2ms plus 2fs?
2MP.
2MP. What about 2ms plus anything else besides 1 CP? I think it's
That's
still going to be
three.
two.
2ms.
I think it's still going to, no, it's going to have to be
Oh,
P.
2MP.
Now it's two things. Yeah. And then anything 3 plus anything else is still going to be 3 plural depending on the gender. So 3ms plus 3fs is going to be 3mp.
Well, if it was me and 3.
Yes, then that would be
Yes,
that.
then
Then that
that's
would
number
fall
1.
under
Okay.
here. So it seems like there's a priority that first person trumps everything. Then second person is the second priority, and then third person is the catch-all, right? Because if you had 2ms plus first person, again, that would take you up to here. If you had 3ms plus second person, well, that would be this one. So there's a certain priority. First person is first priority, second person, second priority, and then everything rolls down from there. Okay, so noon is first common plural because of hu ani vahu. So what are we left with? What binyan is this?
Nifal.
Oh,
It's not, it can't be nifal.
Oh.
oh.
Why can't it be nifal?
Because the nun goes with the vayiktal.
Because
Okay,
it's not a
suppose
katal form. You have the lead noon.
Alam.
well, okay, I hear what you're saying, and that's very correct. That's very correct. What if it were first person common plural nifal?
Where would the dagesh go?
Very good. Where would the dagesh go? Well, it's a guttural. So we can't put the dagesh here. What does a nifal, a yiktal nifal do? It turns what should be a chirik into a tzere, right? Like, think of a root ni, no, wow. Na. There. Okay. Yeah. So for example,
Elam. Elam.
no, I'm trying to think of something that has a first noon. Natsal, maybe. So ni na tser, right? Put a vayik toll on there. Va ni na tser. So here we've got a first root letter nun. We've got the nifal lost inside of it. Here's the noon of 1 CP, and then the vayik toll in front. Va ninatzer. And we were guarded. Okay. So if we were trying to fit, if it's a guttural with a nifal, excuse me, if it's a guttural with 1 CP, then it would be va ne a lem. There we go. Now I can use ne'lam. Va ne'alem. Therefore, we should expect a tzere right there. But it's not a tzere. It's a patach. So it's not a nifal. So it has to be
Katal.
well, katal is a form. What binyan is it?
Oh, kal.
Kal.
It's done.
It has to be kal. Okay. Since when do we get in a katal in it? Now I'm doing it in a kal binyan. Again, let's go back to what I suggested earlier. Let's use a strong verb that's kal 1 CP vayik tol. Okay, here we go. Let's use shamar Seems to be a good example. Let's use that one. If the root is shamar instead of halam, we have a nun in front, vayiktol in front of that, and a paragogic hey at the end. Okay? What am I missing? The vowels. What goes under nun? What goes under sheen? What goes under mem?
Sheen is I can't think today. Shva
Under nun is under what is shva?
is under the sheen.
Under the sheen is
And-
shva. That's right. And under the nun
mem.
is
And
under the mem. And what's under nun? Chirik. Very good. Vanishmera. Now you see the problem. Under the first root letter is a shva. Under the first root letter is it's a guttural. Okay, so let's fix it. Let's take out the sheen memresh. Let's put in halam. We can't put a shva here on the chet, so we're going to put a reduced vowel instead, which is also going to affect the preceding vowel. There, it's all fixed now, isn't it?
Nachalma.
It's not fixed. Why isn't it fixed?
Va.
Because shva that starts a syllable is audible and reduced vowels are audible. You can't have two audibles in a row. So what does Hebrew do to fix it? That's what it does. It'll put two patachs with a little meteg right there. And we dreamt, sir, chalom balayla, a dream at night, layla echad, in one night, ani vahu, I and he, ish kafitron. What's the root of kafitron?
Patar.
Patar, to solve, to interpret. Chalomo chalamnu. The interpretation of his dream, he dreamt. And there's your pausal vowel lengthening. Chalamnu. All right, whose head hurts? Good. Excellent. If you're struggling, you're growing. My head hurts too. Maybe I'm growing too. All right, we have a little bit more time. Do you guys want to call it quits or keep reading?
Read.
All right. Jesse wants to read. Go ahead, Jesse.
Vesham itanu na'ar ivri na'ar ivri eved lesar hatabahim van saper lo vayiftar lanu et halomotenu ish kahalomo tatar.
Oh, excellent reading with only one mistake. Did anyone see the one mistake?
Otar?
No, this is an open syllable, so it can't be a kamatz katan. And that's a stress syllable, so that's not kamatz katan. But you're on the right track. First one who sees it gets a gold star.
I mean, did you mark it?
Oh,
no, of course not. I want you guys to hunt for it.
Vayiftor.
Explain, please.
Because.
Because, all right. Now we can move on. Why does this necessarily have to be vayiftor lanu instead of vayiftar lanu?
Because earlier the interpreted was pot.
Yeah, that was a participle though.
Is it still a participle? No.
Here it's not a participle; it's a vayiktal.
The makef makes it short.
The makef is a good a
Makes
good
it
place to start.
unaccented, right?
Yes,
Makes it
exactly. There you go. The
unaccented.
makef turns all of this into one word. So the stress is over here. Ergo, this is unstressed. So what should have been vayiftor, long vowel in a closed syllable, which is okay if it's stressed, is not okay if it's not stressed. So it turns into a short vowel, much like kamatz turned into patach earlier, right? Like sar becomes sar because it's too far away from the stress over here. It went from sar to sar, long to short. Same thing here, long to short. Only the frustrating thing is that this is both a long and a short vowel. Ah. It's both a long ah and a short o. And alternatively, you could say, yeah, yiktol is supposed to have an o vowel, unless it's stative. So is patar a stative verb? No. Here we have it in the katal. It's not pater, it's patar. So it's not stative. Excellent. And I don't really see a whole lot to point out here. Any troubles? Anything interesting in this verse that you all see? Ivri. Oh, I haven't read it. V'sham itanu na'ar ivri, eved l'sar hatabachim, v'nisaper lo, v'yiftor lanu, et chalomotenu, ish kachalomo patar. Who's the subject of this verb?
Hebrew young man.
Yeah, very good. All the way up here. Na'ar ivri, or eved l'sar hatabachim. V'nisaper lo, v'yiftor lanu, et chalomotenu ish kachalomo. Okay, so all of these refer to the same guy, namely
Joseph.
Yosef.
Hatabachim.
What's wrong with hatabachim?
Tell me tabach again, what it meant.
Butcher.
Why is the guard called butchers?
Yeah, it's a great question. Usually butchers aren't in charge of guarding
Hopefully
people.
not.
So you do get various translations dealing with this in different ways. And the way I think about it, and I may be completely off my rocker here, but this is not hardcore criminal prison. This is white collar prison. And it wouldn't surprise me if, that the butcher is also in charge of the white collar prison. But no, I don't have a good explanation for it. Some people will translate it as the executioner, and then all of a sudden butcher hits a little closer to home.
I looked that up.
What did you
I
find?
looked it up when you were reading it. So you made the comparison between the two forms. One relates to the butchering of a sacrifice, and the other one is the butchering of food for consumption. But it also has a double meaning, meaning the sword that comes against Israel in judgment.
Where do you pull that?
Al Torah on the concordance. I looked up the root of both of those, and that's
Sorry,
where I
what?
pulled it from.
Okay, so that just pushes the question further. Where did they get it?
Oh,
Most dictionaries, think about this. Dictionaries are
use
not the end all
BDB?
be all. Okay.
right.
Dictionaries, what they do is they read the Bible and they find all the different places where a word exists and then compare it to the Greek or the Aramaic or the context, and then they systematize a definition for it. It's a great way to go. It's what I ultimately want to teach all my students to do. That way you don't have to trust Mr. BDB or Mr. Jastro or Mr. whoever, Mr. Guru or Mr. Jared. I want you to go and find all those places and develop a systematization of how to define it yourself. Because that's essentially what we want to do. We want the Bible to define its own terms.
I have another idea about this, though. Joseph was in charge of taking care of the prisoners and feeding them. So he would have a real close relationship with whoever was preparing the food. And they could be speaking about, there might be more than one person, captain of certain areas in the prison. And certainly if it was, like you said, a white collar prison, they would be getting better food. And so I just wonder if that was a department head with whom he had a strong relationship because he was caring for all the needs of the prisoners.
Very good.
Joseph.
What if he wasn't a very good cook? And that's why he was in charge of the prison. I don't know. We
Could
could
be.
speculate. But if you
Just
look
a
up other
thought. It's
places,
just strange. It's a strange word to be a
oh,
guard.
sure.
So many
Yeah.
much
I'd
better
like to
words.
know, where else do we get to see a tabachim or a tabach, which literally is the modern Hebrew word for a chef. Where else do we see a tabachim, or the tabachim being a guard of some kind? Is it only here in this context in Genesis, in the story of Joseph, and everywhere else it has to do with executing or butchering? Well, then that makes this an outlier. It makes the use of the word here an outlier. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend that I have all the answers, but we have options.
Mhm.
All right, we have a little more time. By the way, my wife told me it's hamburger night, so I am eager to head there just as soon as you all are ready to head out too. So, do we have any takers who would like to read this itty bitty verse?
I'll go real fast.
Go real fast.
ויהי כאשר פתר לנו כן היה אותי השיב על קני ואותו תלה.
Does anybody remember I always get this messed up. Does anyone remember the modern Hebrew word for a bird's nest?
Ken. It's
How
a
do you spell it?
cane. It's a kaf nun. Kaf nun.
Is it kaf nun or kuf nun?
Kaf, I think.
Yeah. I hate words like that where, Aleph, Ain, Tet, Tav, Samech, Sin. Ugh. Why? You just need to standardize it. Let's see. Search. I'll pull my dictionary. Does somebody have a way to look
I
that
got
up
a Google
quickly?
Translate here.
Okay. That'll work. And because when I see the word kani, I think of the root either
Nef.
kanan or kun, which has to do with establishment, like your post, your office. So I'm wondering if it's kuf nun.
Nest.
Okay.
Eating. It is a ken, and you're right, it's a kuf.
Okay. So I don't know what the three root letters of a ken would be. I only see two of them. I don't know if it's kuf nun nun or if it's kuf yod nun or kuf something else nun. But how can we remember that kuf nun is a bird's nest? Is there a silly mnemonic we can use? Ooh, we could draw a beak onto the bird's face right here. Oh, that's a really creepy looking bird.
It looks like a vulture.
Yeah, it looks terrible, doesn't it? That looks more like a mosquito. I don't know. Well, I guess you could do the same thing with the cough. I don't know. All right, so Vayhi kasher patar lanu ken haya oti heshiv al kani veoto tala. Ooh. Tala. What's the word talui?
Depends
On what?
on something. Talui ad something.
Exactly. It depends on, it hangs on. This is the Hebrew way of saying that something depends on something else. It hangs on something else. Now, I'm changing the question from what is talui to who is talui.
Ha'ofe.
Sorry, remove yourself from the context of Genesis. Who is talui in modern Israel?
Mm.
Mm.
That is a moniker. It's a nickname for Yeshua, Jesus,
Yeshua.
because he is talui, hanging. It's taken straight from the Torah when it says anyone who hangs on a tree is cursed. It's referring to the talui, and from that, Rabbinic Judaism calls Yeshua the talui. So if you ever see any reference to talui, it's it's code for that one whose name we shall not pronounce.
Ah, okay.
Ah, interesting.
Okay.
I found the root for Ken. It's Kanan.
It is Canaan.
Yeah, because I looked up to nest, like a mother that nests.
Yeah.
And it's there. You got it.
It's liknon.
Likanen, I think.
Oh, likanen. That makes a lot more sense. Likanen. So that's going to be a PL. Very good. Thank you for doing. And so what's the root of this word office?
Mm.
Probably the same thing. You see the dagesh, a letter's missing.
Mhm.
So it might be kaf nun nun.
Mm.
Mm.
The nun apocryphated at the end.
Kaf nun nun.
For
Yeah,
a
what do you have for
symbol.
that?
It's a Yiddish word.
No. No, really?
It's,
All right, look up kaf.
Kun.
No, I was gonna say
Does
look
it come
up.
from kun?
See, I was thinking that it comes from kun, but if that were the case, why do we get a dagesh? We don't usually get a dagesh from vav. I mean, rarely we can. I can think of like one example. Ooh, two. If a missing yod counts, I can think of multiple examples. Okay, so how can we determine what the root of ken is? So if we put kaf, kaf nun, a base or a base or a pedestal that has to do with kun. According to Pe'alim, it's kaf nun nun. And kane, kanim. Let's have a look. Is there an entry for what's his name? Klein. No, it's not. Why? Can honest, truthful, can see.
I
I
would
would
have
think
thought
that.
the word Ken meant yes.
Well, that does come from kun, because ken in that sense, without a dagesh, refers to that which has been established. Kun
Right.
is to establish, right? So if
Yeah.
somebody
Okay.
asked me, "Hey, are you hungry?" I'd be like, "Well, that's established." Ken.
Yeah.
Whereas kanan appears to be a different root, having to do with a pedestal or a base. So here, okay. So here in this reading, the ken refers to his host, where he's based. All right, sweet. Okay, well, I hope you all had some fun.
Yes.
I am going to go have dinner with my family. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your evening. Until next week. Lehitraot. Leshalom.
Leshalom.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Jared.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Lehitraot.
Later.